Welcome to the Quantum Living TV show here on Woman Broadcast Network station with ILONA SELKE. Today as the interviewer and James Sinclair. You are the producer, filmmaker of the rather well-known movie already, What If?
That's
And
correct.
you've interviewed some rather renowned people on the subject of what if. Can you fill me in with the blanks?
Right, sure. So the movie is about awakening to our unlimited potential. And it addresses the issue, if we're such great masters and capable of such great things, why are we not living a more extraordinary reality?
Beautiful. So you've interviewed some rather renowned people. Who are some of the people that you did interview for this movie?
Yeah, that's right. We filmed in 5 countries for that movie. And it included Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is a cell biologist, former professor at Stanford. And he discussed a very powerful principle called epigenetic control, which literally means the control is above our genes. And we're taught in hereditary that it's due to our genes, and diseases lie in our DNA and everything. But he's discovered, and a lot of people along his side have discovered, that it's actually the consciousness which programs the DNA and the genes.
And actually turns on the DNA to greater capacities than what we are normally capable of.
That's right.
So we can use our mind and consciousness to impact our DNA.
That's right.
And I believe you've made that a personal study in your life. I know that you look fabulously young, and I know that you are young in your entire way of being, but you do that purposefully. So just for the viewers to know that you actually are very evolved, and you have had quite some experiences under your belt in your life. And so what do you do to use epigenetics in your youthing of your beingness, for example?
Well, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is also in the movie, he's been doing, he's actually making scientific history right now. And through his advanced classes, they're doing studies where they're third-party studies, where they're seeing when the participants are going into different states of consciousness and focusing on being in the moment of having what they truly want. What would it be like if we were fully living our potential, and then specifically what that means to each person. And they're seeing that in those moments, when they're succeeding in that area, that different genes are expressing. So certain genes are turning on and certain genes are turning off. Cancer genes are turning off. And life and light genes are turning on, which is influencing the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, and they begin secreting a different kind of a hormone that's very beneficial to the body, and they call that the life hormone.
And I love your movie for that fact, and I'm really encouraging everybody to see that. It's called What If? Can you give us a web address?
Yeah, it's What If the movie. There is a Christian movie called What If that came out after us, and this one is www.whatifthemovie.tv.
.tv.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. You have a great trailer in there. That alone is beautiful to watch. To read your credentials is amazing. You used to have a talent scouting agency and training and all that. You have quite the experience behind you. And I remember the first time I saw you, is like I thought, how can a guy that young do so many big things? Well, I do know that you live what you preach. And the beauty of your film is that it inspires the viewer to get into the what if possible mindset, and says there is scientific study that supports that when we put ourselves into a mindset of a greater self, a greater capacity, our genetics actually expand. And I remember once I read an interview, or listened to an interview by Greg Braden, and he had slideshows where if a person went into fear, the DNA that was under a microscope contracted and made a tight spiral. And when they went into love and an expanded sense of self, and that includes creating the imaginary expanded aura, which we see all the holy paintings, you know, they have that great aura. It expanded the spiral of the DNA. So what Bruce Lipton, for example, said is when you have an expanded DNA, other parts activate that when it's contracted in fear, in stress, doesn't get to even come into play.
That's right.
Right. So tell some of our viewers what they can do just to start making the first step, and then maybe something for advanced viewers, how to get into it if they've never really played with that yet, and then something for the more advanced people who already have dabbled into it.
Sure, sure. Well, I think the most important thing and the easiest thing that we can do to start is to, whatever it takes, begin to relieve stress. Because the minute we relieve stress, 90% of the symptoms going on in the body are alleviated very quickly, and same with psychological states are immediately transformed just by the elimination of stress.
How do you do that?
Well, it's different for everyone. There's meditation. There's been more scientific studies coming out of Poland where if you immerse yourself in water regularly. In fact, according to their studies, every disease known to man has been healed when they're immersed in water. They've done studies for 30 days when food is being brought to them. And so the argument is it the water, or is it that they're in a nurtured environment? But regardless, we can all feel the benefits when we have 15-minute bath. Just notice, pay attention to your mood before, and pay attention to how you feel when you get out. Something's going on there, and you feel different and refreshed.
So number one, eliminate stress. Maybe
That's right.
I know another one that works really well,
Yeah.
that actually counterfights or counteracts cortisol, the stress hormone, which is gratitude.
Yes.
So if we just sat here and we're just grateful for this moment here in Bali, here at the Shambhala Retreat Center where we're doing this interview right now, or you as the viewer can go and just think of something you're grateful for, just 3 things. Let's do that together.
Yes, and I think the key is to truly feel it.
Yeah,
Yes.
true. Okay, so think of 3 things that you're grateful for, and each item go into actually taking a breath and dive into the feeling of what it feels like when you think of what it is that you're grateful for. And I do know that silence does not work as well on camera, but it also is something we so desperately need in life. We need to not just have this hyper-jumping reality where we're just like on steroids. We need to slow down, because those subtle energies, the expansion of the DNA, necessitates that we slow down. How did that feel to you?
Very nice.
What does it make you feel like when you go into gratitude?
Joy and expansion of the heart.
That's it. They all say expansion of the heart. I hope you could follow. And so we have number 1, stress elimination, maybe bath. 2, maybe gratefulness exercise. Number 3, maybe.
You know, I think whatever people are called to that makes them feel good. For some people, it's a run, it's a jog. For others, it's walking barefoot on the sand. For others, it's sitting by a campfire. Anything that makes you feel good automatically begins to reduce stress.
Okay. So once we've reduced stress, how do we get into the next level of expanding our DNA?
Yes. Well, it's interesting because it almost happens automatically. As soon as we release stress, that greater part of ourselves begins to show itself. And you can see it right away. Cholesterol levels change, the heartbeat changes, the physiology is changing when we're eliminating stress. So that's some of the physical proof. And then as far as feeling it goes, most people report when they become very deeply relaxed that there's an aspect to themselves that's much greater. And they some even report becoming aware of a presence within them.
Okay, so becoming sensitive to what already is what you're saying.
Yes.
We're peeling away the layers and the buzz so that what is has a space to become.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Is there anything else that, like Joe Dispenza, I know he talks about the gamma frequencies, for example.
Yes.
How do you activate the higher states of self-awareness?
Well, one thing to do is to go into that gamma frequency, that gamma brainwave. And, there's a study where they've taken several Tibetan Buddhist monks that have been practicing compassion for over 40 years. And they can very quickly get into that levels of theta and alpha brainwave. And then also they noticed something was present, which is gamma. And they took a study, and then they also cross-studied with a group of meditators. And they were getting into theta and they were getting to alpha, but they were not getting into the gamma. Then they took people who have never meditated before, and they taught them a technique, which just takes a few minutes, where they can actually intentionally do a few body postures, focus their mind, and they started seeing that their brainwave patterns were matching what the Tibetan Buddhist monks have for 40 years. And of course, you have to practice that.
But can you show us some?
Sure.
Thank you, James. I'm excited to practice that with you. And before we do that, I would like to show you a 60-second animation film about the Living from Vision course. A short intermission. And I'll see you back in 1 minute.
Want to live a life where all your vision turns into reality? The universe is listening. All you need is to learn how to ask how. ILONA SELKE will help you create the life that you really want. Her book, Living in a Holographic Universe, presents you amazing stories about the power of visualization, of how our subconscious mind interacts with the holographic nature of the universe, so you too can create the miracles in your daily life. But that's not all. She also created a 5-week, step-by-step miraculous manifestation course that will help you actually live out what you envision. Available online and in DVD with apps. Living from Vision teaches you everyday practicals on how to develop your power to create, balance, and explore your life from the inside out. It even teaches you how to deal with your negative emotions, handle your stress effectively, and create a more happy temperament. Manifest the next level of your success.
This technique is actually created by Chris Walton in the UK, and Bruce Lipton endorsed his work.
Okay.
And so it's very simple. Would you like me to demonstrate?
Yes,
the entire
I'd
thing?
love to.
So it'll take about 4 or 5 minutes?
Yes?
Okay. So the first thing is to sit like this, uncrossed. Take a deep breath. So this technique, we can go right into gamma, and you can also utilize this technique to reprogram beliefs. But that would take a little longer. So we'll just show going into gamma. And simply, all we're going to do is we're going to cross our legs.
Cross the legs.
Cross the feet, yeah. And cross our hands like this. And then put them up towards the heart. And it doesn't matter which way, which order. Legs, arms, doesn't matter which way. And then what we're going to do is, this is optional, but it makes us feel good. We're going to smile, inwardly and outwardly. And we're going to place our attention on a time in our lives where we felt authentic joy. Maybe quite a bit of gratitude, anything that activates the heart and makes you feel good. It doesn't have to be superhuman, just something that makes you feel good. It could be looking at the sun with closed eyes and your feet in warm sand. And then allow this feeling to expand. And that happens naturally when you place your attention on anything. It will expand. So allow it to expand. Feeling it even deeper. And so usually a minute or 2 minutes into it, if you were connected to an EEG, they would start to notice that you're entering. As soon as you close your eyes and do this posture, you naturally go into theta and alpha brainwave. And when you combine it with focusing on what makes you feel good and activating your heart, that begins to produce the gamma brainwave. And so, of course, this makes the left and the right brain balanced and coherent.
I can feel this.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I hope all of you are doing this with us right now. I know that bliss can only be experienced from the inside. Wow, I love this.
Yeah. And this connects you with the deeper part of yourself. It relaxes you. It dissolves and resolves stress.
I can feel that.
And heightens your intuition. And of course, like anything, it's something to be practiced. If you just do it once, you've experienced a little bit of what it's like to be replicating a Tibetan Buddhist monk. But when we do it regularly, which is what they do, then it becomes very life-changing. And when you combine this technique to reprogram your subconscious mind, sometimes all it takes is 3 or 4 minutes. It's a direct mechanism to impregnate the subconscious mind, as if you've been reconditioning it for 30, 60, 90 days, 2 years.
So you're saying that if I'm in this body posture and then reignite a positive belief, that it will enter me more quickly, more deeply, as if I'd done a lot more work on it.
That's right. And so usually preceding this part of the gamma, if we're doing the belief repatterning, we do a little bit of self-discovery, find out what is causing the situation in your life, and it's usually a core belief. And then you can identify that, and then you change that to the positive, the inverted. The difference is when you're doing that with the gamma, you're focusing on that good feeling, then you begin to induce that new belief, such as life is easy, and you just repeat it almost robotically while you're focused on this good feeling. And then always, within 3 or 4 minutes, your higher self will give you a signal. We don't always, unless we have a very well-developed nervous system, we don't always hear the signal or feel the signal. But sometimes it's just a subtle change in breath. Feels like it opens up a little more. Other people, see visuals of the sunset going down. Other people just feel that I'm complete. And if you miss the signal, usually after 3 or 4 minutes, you're done anyways. And then you can test it.
Okay.
And how we test it is by asking, what is your new belief? And then you say, life is easy. And it's like, is that true? And yes. Is it 100% true? Yes.
And how do which part of me says yes?
Just the feeling, right? First thing, yeah. Okay. First thing. And if it's not 100% yes, then that usually means your mind wandered. Because if you don't go into the gamma, it will not change. You'll feel the theta and the alpha. You'll feel good, but you will not reprogram that belief. The gamma is essential. That's
and again, Joe Dispenza is somebody you interviewed who's also part of the What If movie.
That's right.
And then you have a follow-up movie that you've just now started. It's also a $2 million project that you're producing right now, and that's called The Grand Self.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, it's the unofficial follow-up to the first movie.
Right.
And so the first movie, as I mentioned, is about who we really are, what's blocking us. The second movie is a response to viewers, which is, well, how do we clear? How do we do it?
Okay.
And how do we open to this greatness and make it a reality in our lives?
Right. Yeah. I know that you did interview me for that movie, and so I'm part of that, and I'm so grateful to have met you here at our Shambhala Retreat Center. It's been magical. And so that movie will be coming out in time to come. Maybe by the time this is being seen, it's already out. So if people want to find out more about you, to what website do they go? And then from there on, they can maybe find all the other movies?
That's right, yeah. You can go to my speaking website, which is superhumankeynote.com. Superhumankeynote.com. Yeah, and that's referencing the keynote speeches that I often give on the superhuman potential.
Awesome. And you certainly are a radiant, living example. I've got to experience you here at Shambhala for a while now, and in everything you do, the teachings you do, the just being you radiate a light that is palpable across the room. Whether you're on camera or not, you are who you are. You radiate that light whenever I've seen you, eating, sitting, and you're so kind and considerate. And you're so positive. And You know, I know you've been in the LA world, you've been in the agencies world, and you've been around the block. And so to have developed this refreshing, loving kindness is certainly a testimony to what you put out in all your teachings.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you know, especially after What If the movie, I didn't want to be someone that just talked about the potential. I really wanted to embody it. Right. And that's been even before the movie, of course, working to it. So I feel I'm on my way.
Yeah.
And I feel using a lot of the techniques that we talk about, we will be talking about in the next movie, I feel that with every limiting belief that I let go of, more of that light that's already there begins to shine through.
Beautiful.
And I notice that with clients, with anyone, that it's always so amazing. In fact, one of my favorite, most magical things is when we get the honor to witness someone who's been believing something their entire lives to be true about themselves, and often didn't even question it. And then when they have a breakthrough, and they let that go, and they realize they've been wrong their whole life, you know? And I love being wrong. I'm wrong all the time. And I'm like, I thought I was this, and I clear that. Oh, I'm actually
I can be greater and better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that from the Course of Miracles, that one sentence is like, expect a miracle. And you just go like, what would that feel like if I expected a miracle right now? And the air almost starts glistening when you think that. It's like something opens up just with that thought.
Yeah.
So, dream big, the universe is listening, is a motto that I live by, and it's the universe is listening. It's our higher self in divine connection with the bigger universe. Okay. And that's what we're here to do, to evolve into a higher, greater potential, whether that's business, spiritual, emotional, in our relationship, in our health, financially. We get to dream up who we want to be. And I hope this has been inspiring to you, and see me in my next segment. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Q&A session here live with Ilona Selke. This question today comes from Monica, and she is writing, Dear Ilona, I'm so glad I have a possibility of asking you a question. Thank you for taking the time to answer my questions. And I would like to be sure you also write me some questions. This makes the whole television experience live and interactive, so be sure to send me your questions. I've been married for over 8 years, and I love my husband very much. However, he does not share the same interests as I do. Now, many of you can probably relate. Usually, he prefers watching television in order to relax and unwind. I'm trying to get him interested in some of the books I've read recently, but he's not interested. How do I get him involved in some of the same things that I'm interested in? Kindly awaiting your answer. Yours, Monica. Thank you so much, Monica, for asking this very vital question that I'm sure a lot of women can relate to. As a matter of fact, when I was 20, I was married already to a man with whom I had a very similar experience. And although he was the one who bought the books for me, he was not the one who wanted to read them. And you know, we have to ask ourselves several questions, and I'm going to ask you pretty point blank right now. You say you've been married for 8 years. That usually means you've passed through the first 7 years, and you already are into your 8th year, and you're still together. That's a good sign. Now, typically, we go in cycles of 7 years, and our life evolves in cycles of 7 years, and we complete things in 7 years. So it sounds to me like you're on a journey in yourself to a new adventure. Now, you want to make sure that you and your husband stay on the same page. My question to you is, are you interested in his interests? Are you sharing something he's interested in? Could you strike a bargain? Could you say, come with me to a seminar and I'll come and do something of your choice? Play golf with him, play racquetball with him, go to some sports event, watch a television show that he's interested in together. Get into each other's interest fields. Now, another thing you can do, when you've agreed on sharing each other's interests, make sure that you're also going in the right and similar direction. And the way to start that ship is by checking in regularly on what your values are. Sit down, have a cup of tea, light a candle, take a moment of silence, take moments of just feeling each other. Say 3 things you like about each other and take turns. Say, you know, what I really appreciate about you is, you know, I swamp my husband with those kinds of answers every single day. You know what I love about you? He's in the middle of the bathroom, brushing his teeth. I'm going, you know what I love about you? And I tell him the most wonderful realization I just had, which is, for example, that he shares in my experiences, that he shares my interests. For example, so you can start sitting, having a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you'd like, light a candle, do something that brings awareness, brings atmosphere into your life, and share time together. What is the end result of you wanting to read some of your books? Is it that he thinks like you, or that you share more intimate time together? And intimacy starts with time together. And we need to take time to be. So sit together and just discuss, where are we going in life? What is really important to you? What are your highest values? Get to know each other. I like recommending people doing the Living from Vision course together. So you only buy it once, you listen and do the exercises together, you wake up and go to bed doing the exercises together, and set goals together. It may be the vacation you want to take, or amount of money you want to make, whatever it is. Unify your vision. Work together on something. Both of you get end results that satisfy both of you. So that's my answer to your question. Thank you so much, Monica. Bye-bye. See you next week with the next sequence.